Sorry, I almost forgot to show you guys what I'm talking about as far as how it can look going through here in the winter time. This is the back portion of my property. As you can see, it's not very easy to see through no matter what time of year it is. Sometimes in the fall when everything's like skeletonized, but you see my remnants of my trail here. Trail that leads over here. And then my hill that goes down here. Anyway, thanks again for joining me. I almost forgot that portion to share with you guys what it looks like with the snow on the trees. We'll catch you on the next one. Hey, greetings, Fred in Alaska. Thanks for joining me. What I wanted to share with you guys today, this happened 3 years ago up by the Nancy Lakes State Rec area. Isaac, Marcy, and his dog Jesse, a yellow lab, they live down on the peninsula, but they like the area because Marcy's originally from up by between Big Lake and Willow, mainly Big Lake area. So periodically she likes to reminisce, go home, you know, that type of thing. Well, as you can see, we got some fresh snow. After I share this with you, I'll give you a quick 360 of where I'm currently at, and as you can also see, it's just as thick through there, if not a little worse with snow. Anyway, so they were going to the Nancy Lake Rec area. They had reserved one of the day cabins, or one of the cabins that they have there. Hold on, sticker bush trying to get me. So what ended up happening is oh great, recommend waterproof covers for your cell phones, just cause. Anyway, so they get to the spot, and this is just going into fall. I think they said they reserved the last something or another. That part's irrelevant. It was going on into fall. They were near Lynx Lake, and when they got there, he said there was birds chirping, just typical fall weather, a little crispy in the air, just perfect of what Marcy wanted. And Isaac was stoked that she was happy, and the dog Jesse, Isaac had gotten from his brother a couple years before because he had kids, and his brother's wife didn't want dogs in the house during rearing of the child. So basically Jesse was extended family. He said the dog was great, but never fully attached to him. So, which, you know, sometimes in some breeds that happens. Anyway, so they get there, and the first day, birds chirping, beautiful. They get all their supplies into the little, you know, the cabin, and they noticed once they were inside the cabin, they left Jesse outside to do dog stuff, run around. The dog wasn't a threat to people or anything. So as they are trying to get things squared away and unpacked, they made a couple trips from the car, and it wasn't dark yet, but it was on its way to getting on into twilight. The sun was just setting, but it was still light out. And so they decide they're gonna check out, go walk some of the trails along the lake and stuff. The lake wasn't frozen up or anything, so they're just kind of walking along. And as they were about 20 minutes into it, all of a sudden there's no sound. There's not a peep going on. So they decided, I don't care for that quietness. And Isaac, smart enough, being from the Kenai Peninsula, dealt with bears through and through, decides, you know, there may be a predator. The firearm I brought is still packed away in the car. Let's play it safe in case a bear's coming through to hibernate, go into the salmon streams, whatever it may be. Let's not risk it. Let's turn around. Smart thing. So they turn around. He has Marcy in front of him, and Jesse was leading the way back. Now, when they got back towards about 100 feet from the cabin, Jesse tears off towards the cabin. The yellow lab Jesse just tears off towards the cabin, not barking or anything, but aggressive, hackles up, just barreling towards the cabin. As the dog rounds the corner of the cabin just out of view, they hear some crashing through the brush going away from the cabin. So immediately they're like, oh, it was a bear. So, they hot-footed it, figured let's get to the cabin to security and then worry about getting Jesse back, from running off or whatever. So they get up to the cabin. Isaac decides, I'm gonna get my gun out of the car, and in case this bear circles back or whatever. So he gets out his pistol, 454 Casull, strictly a chest holstered gun for fishing, just to have something, heavy caliber for bear. And so he retrieves it and gets into the cabin, and there's two windows in this cabin. There's a big one by the door and another big one that's kind of views the lake. And as they were sitting there talking, they were concerned about Jesse, because usually Jesse, when he wins a bear, he'll chase it off and then come back all happy with himself. Well, not a peep from Jesse. So he steps out on the porch and he starts, Jesse, come on. Here's nothing. So time goes by. It's in the darkness now, and they hear running around outside. They heard the jostling against the brush right outside by the side of the cabin, and immediately they thought Jesse. So he opens the door and calls, "Hey, Jesse." And sure enough, it was. Jesse comes hobbling in. His back leg was kind of tweaked, and dog was acting real weird, tail tucked, hobbling along with his legs. So comes in, shuts the door, and they're examining the dog like, what are you doing, stupid? You don't chase bears that far. You can get hurt and they kill you. They leave it at that. They decide to cook a meal. They're discussing how they would like to hike and check out the trails or whatever. And they were planning on unloading a canoe they had brought with them to do the portage trail through there and all that, and do the going in between the lakes. I've been up there recently last spring doing something similar, so it's that terrain there. And anyway, they were discussing what they were going to do. And as they're doing so, all of a sudden, Jesse, from laying underneath this little table, hops up and starts pacing the length of the cabin back and forth. And they're like, whoa, calm down. So immediately Isaac grabs a flashlight, starts looking out the window to see if that bear was around the cabin. They didn't see any movement, not a sound. Went out on the porch, had his gun, of course, and starts beaming around, just kind of, what the hell? There was still leaves on the trees, not all of them had fallen off. So he decides, I'm armed. I got a heavy enough caliber gun to stop a bear. I'm going to walk out to the car and beam back on the side of this cabin that doesn't have a window. So he gets over there and he's beaming down the side. He sees nothing. And as he's panning, all of a sudden, some eye shine about 40 yards away catches his attention. And what caught his attention, he said, was it wasn't, 3 to 4 feet off the ground. It was substantially taller. And that's what initially caught his attention. So he's beaming. He's trying to get a better look. But with the trees, it was almost impossible. So he's getting just hints and glimmers of eye shine back at him, but this eye shine's starting to move now. So as he's trying to move and put a light on it, this thing is actively working away from the light. So he gets the creeps. It's still dead quiet, and inside Jesse is lighting up, like roar, 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 just barking, snarling. Sounds like, the dog was on the verge of attacking Marcy. So he rushes back inside, but Jesse wasn't trying to attack Marcy. He's just going nuts, barking at the windows, turning and barking at the door, barking at the other window. Is just kind of going crazy, like, let me at it, kind of a tone to the bark. So he shuts the door, and they're doing their best to calm Jesse, but Jesse's inconsolable, won't let him touch him really. He's just like, just yapping away. So after about 20 minutes of this, they about had it, and they start yelling at them, hey, stop, just stop. And Jesse would not stop. Just continued going to the point where the dog was panting from going squirrely, just getting exhausted, So they figured, okay, he's obviously got issues with this bear. Let's let him run himself out, and he'll hopefully lose energy and lay down. They didn't know what else to do. The dog wasn't listening when it's normally well behaved. They tried to distract him with treats, didn't work. Nothing. So that really had him on edge, because he's never seen this dog act that way. And rightfully so. I mean, you got to pay attention to your critters. A nice example is what Ryan shared with us. He watching his dogs, and so it's good to be in tune with your dogs. I'm sure everyone could agree on that. Well, finally the dog stops. He said he doesn't remember exactly how long, but they were exhausted just trying to calm the dog. He said it could have taken over an hour, hour and a half. He wasn't sure. But by the time the dog calmed down and finally laid down, he decided he was going to step outside, smoke a cigarette. Marcy was on his ass to quit. All the more reason to quit. There may be a bear out there to get you. All that stuff, trying to discourage him, and he's going to have a cigarette. So he steps out, and he walks over by the car, and he's trying to play calm. He's just going over everything that's been going on with the dog, the eye shine. And it dawns on him as he's smoking a cigarette, he doesn't feel right in his skin. He said he was feeling watched, in essence. So he hurried with the cigarette. He had the flashlight with him, and he said initially he was just more frustrated with the dog. He had kind of spaced the eye shine thing and just, chalked it up to something weird, whatever. Just, it's Alaska, shit happens. So as he's finishing his cigarette and putting it out, when he stands back up, he hears a huff, kind of a hoof kind of sound in the same direction that he was shining the flashlight a little while ago, where there was eye shine. So pulls the flashlight out of his pocket, beams that way, and sees the eye shine again, almost in the same spot. So he yells, "Hey bear, bear, hey bear," rah, 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 starts screaming, yelling. He turns around, he goes over to the car, and they had in the backpack behind the seat, they had some bear spray. And it's supposedly good at 30 yards or something. I don't remember exactly what he was claiming it said on the can. So he decides he's gonna walk over with flashlight and bear spray with his pistol, and go and basically pepper spray a bear to get it to go away for good. Well, he takes a few steps in that direction, and he's flashing with the flashlight again, and he's pulled the safety on the bear spray. So he's walking with a flashlight holding bear spray, like trying to find that eye shine, and he was just going to basically spray that direction. He wasn't going to get close enough necessarily, but he wanted the smell of that pepper in the air to hopefully dissuade any bear activity, right? So he does this thing. He sprays that direction once he sees a little glint of what he assumed was eye shine, sprays. And one thing he didn't do before depressing the trigger on the bear spray was pay attention to the direction the slight breeze was blowing. So it sprayed out, but some of it came back, and as it was coming back, it dawned on him, because he was starting to get that tickle in the back of the throat, that cough, that hack, and his eyes were kind of feeling not so right. He backs off immediately, and he's still trying to shine that way, and starts coughing a little bit. Behind him, he said he couldn't say exactly how far. He heard an imitation of his little like that, but a lot deeper, and it startled the shit out of him. He immediately, all attention was get inside. So he tore ass inside, kept that information to himself, and would periodically be looking to see if someone was teasing him, messing with him. A couple hours pass. Marcy's ready for bed. The dog has gotten back up and was pacing. Wasn't barking again, but was pacing, real unsettled, whining, whimpering. And he was trying to calm the dog again. He goes, "You know what? I'm going to let him out to go bathroom for the night. I'm going to smoke another cigarette, and I'm going to see if I can notice anything of this person that may be messing with me." Opens the door. Jesse won't go out. Jesse goes back over and tries to get by Marcy, and he just leaves it alone, steps out, lights his cigarette. Starts flashing the flashlight around a little bit, just leaves it at that, just flashing every once in a while. And As he's doing this, he's hearing something, but it doesn't sound nearby, but it sounds nearby. It sounds like muffled movement. And as he's standing there on these little steps, leaning against the rail of the step, he kind of feels a shift, like the building shifted. And then it dawned on him, oh, I'm hearing a ruffled noise from around the side of this little cabin, something rubbing against it. So immediately, his interest is peaked. He's got his flashlight, he's got his gun, he drops his cigarette, pulls the gun, turns on the light, steps around so he can beam around the corner. Nothing there. Goes around the other side, beams, nothing there. Now, there's this, he calls it quits, goes inside. Now, where Marcy's laying, it's kind of like a couch, he said. And they decided they were going to, instead of palleting on the floor, they were going to share this, space of the couch. So Marcy's already fallen asleep. The dog is still unsettled, but laying still, just next to Marcy on the floor. And so he goes over and he's like, and this is right in front of this window. There's no curtain on it. And he tells Marcy, make room, whatever. Let's go to sleep, call it a night. So as he's laying there, he's just about to doze off, and he hears a thump, this gradual little thump, and it sounds like someone tapping the window, but with something blunted. And he opens his eyes, he looks, there's no lights on, so he can't really see anything, but he keeps hearing it. So he rolls off the couch, or little whatever it was, and he said it looked homemade with some cushions. I haven't been to that cabin, so I don't know. Anyway, grabs a flashlight and beams out the window, and when he does so, he notices dark movement. Not immediately up on the window, but close enough to where it startled him. So immediately he's putting on his gear, tells Marcy there was movement outside, he thinks the bear is back. Now, as he's doing this and telling her that, she's like saying, well, just leave it alone, it'll go away. Just come back to bed, it's not worth. And he goes, well, yeah, but bears don't tap windows, and she goes, maybe it was nosing against the window or something. She's trying to give him excuses. She's half asleep, and he's just got to check it out. Well, he gets on his stuff, not fully dressed, but dressed enough, flashlight, gun, goes outside. He's shining around. And as he's panning, he sees nothing. He gets over to where they had their car parked, and he kind of sees, or flashlight sees nothing. It was kind of, as he was moving away, he noticed at the top of the canoe, because it's still on top of their rig, he saw movement. So he lifted the flashlight up, and this thing that was standing behind kind of looked up at him. He said it was damn near pitch black. There was a little bit of eye shine, not as much as he thought there would be. Kind of like it was looking away from the light, maybe. His assumption, he was just spitballing. But when it stood up, it turned and just walked off. And he said, and I asked, well, was it a bear? Was it a bear stood up, looked at you, dropped down, and walked off on fours? He said, no, it was on 2 feet. It was dark, almost pitch black, and walked off into the tree line just off the little parking area there. He wasn't sure. His brain wasn't registering what he was seeing, but he knew he had to get inside. So he gets back inside. He's startled. He smokes a cigarette in the cabin to calm down because he was just freaked out, and decides, I'm going to find something and tack it over this window so I can sleep. Well, he couldn't find anything, so he gets Marcy up, moves this little couch structure away from in front of that window so that it wasn't just right there, and was finally able to fall asleep by early morning. They heard nothing else. The dog the next morning didn't want to go out to go potty. He looked around. It was still quasi-dark, kind of like morning twilight, and dead quiet, nothing. He tells Marcy what happened, what he saw. She says the same thing I brought up to him. Maybe it was a bear, stood up, looked at you, dropped down, walked off. He explained to her, no, walked off. And essentially they ended their trip like that. Um, and this place that they went to is right between Big Lake and Willow. Um, so I mean, we got multiple instances in that area of weird things. Jonathan, Ryan, um, Isaac and Marcy, and there's been others. I can't pull them off the top of my head, but me and Ryan were talking, and he was suspecting that maybe they passed through this area in the fall and in the spring, going up across the Susitna River or something like that. Which speculation, we're just spitballing. But it kind of makes you wonder, because a lot of these things happen in the fall and in the spring. So anyway, I'm gonna get down to some analytical stuff as far as the encounters, type, placement, yada yada yada. I'm gonna get with Dave on that, and maybe start breaking these down into categories. And I'll spitball with him, see what we can come up with. Also, I'm going to be doing something real in the near future here about the missing people up here. I get emails from people speaking about missing persons. No direct connection with the hairy man or whatever, but just some intriguing stuff. A lot of people just disappear without a trace. Just gone, and it shouldn't be that way. There should be some trace of them being around. Anyway, I'll get to that another time. Thanks to all new subscribers for joining us here, and I thank you guys for your time, and I'll see you guys on the next one.